the creation. Everything starts with emptiness. No shape, no light, no sound. Then a voice speaks, "Let there be light." And from that moment, the universe begins to form. Across 6 days, creation unfolds in perfect order. Light separates from darkness. Waters split to form sky and sea. Land rises, covered with green plants. The sun, moon, and stars take their places, and creatures fill the oceans and skies. Finally, humanity, man and woman, are created in God's image. They're given dominion over all living things and a home, the Garden of Eden. Here, everything is peaceful and pure. On the seventh day, God rests, not because he's tired, but to establish rhythm, rest, and reflection. Creation is complete. Next is the fall of man. In Eden, Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, live freely. They walk with God, surrounded by abundance. Only one command exists: don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But temptation enters the story through a serpent. It questions Eve. Did God really say you can't eat it? Doubt turns into desire. She eats the fruit, and Adam follows. Immediately their eyes open. They feel shame, fear, and hide from God. In a moment, innocence dies and guilt is born. Their disobedience brings lasting consequences: pain in childbirth, struggle in labor, and spiritual separation from God. They're driven out of Eden, leaving behind the paradise they once ruled. The perfect world fractures. This is the origin of human struggle. Next is the story of Cain and Abel. Outside Eden, Adam and Eve begin life in a harsher world and have two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain works the soil, a farmer who grows crops. Abel tends animals, a shepherd who keeps flocks. Both bring offerings to God. Cain brings produce from his fields, while Abel offers the best parts of his firstborn sheep. God accepts Abel's offering, but not Cain's, not because of what they gave, but because of the heart behind it. Jealousy takes root in Cain. Despite God's warning, sin is crouching at your door, but you must master it. Cain lures Abel into the field and kills him. It's the first murder in human history, the moment when envy turns to bloodshed. God confronts Cain. "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain answers, "Am I my brother's keeper?" As punishment, Cain is cursed to wander the earth, unable to farm the land again. Next is the story of the great flood. Generations pass, and the world becomes filled with corruption. Violence, greed, and moral decay take over. But one man, Noah, stands out for his faithfulness. God commands him to build a massive ark, a vessel big enough for his family and two of every kind of animal. For years, Noah builds while others mock him. Then the rain begins. 40 days and nights of flood erase the old world. When the water finally subsides, Noah releases a dove, and it returns with an olive leaf, a sign of life and renewal. Noah builds an altar, and God promises never again to destroy the earth by flood. The rainbow becomes a symbol of that everlasting covenant, a reminder that mercy still exists even after judgment. Next is the story of the Tower of Babel. Humanity multiplies again and moves eastward. They decide to build a city and a tower that reaches the heavens, a monument to human pride and independence. They say, "Let's make a name for ourselves." But their unity is built on arrogance, not purpose. God steps in and confuses their language. Suddenly, they can't understand each other. The project collapses, and people scatter across the earth, each group with its own tongue and culture. This moment marks the birth of nations and the limit of human pride. Next is the call of Abraham. Out of scattered nations, God chooses one man, Abram, later called Abraham. God tells him to leave his homeland and go to a land he will show him. In return, God promises three things: a land, countless descendants, and a legacy that will bless all nations. Abraham believes even when the promise seems impossible. He and his wife Sarah wait decades for a child. Finally, Isaac is born, the son of promise. Later, God tests Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice Isaac. At the last moment, God provides a ram instead. It's a lesson in trust that faith sometimes means obedience before understanding. The last is the story of Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. Isaac's son Jacob is born holding his twin brother's heel, a sign of struggle. Through a series of events, Jacob receives his father's blessing and flees for safety. Years later, Jacob encounters God in a dream of a ladder reaching heaven, and in another moment, he physically wrestles with a divine being. By morning, he's renamed Israel, one who struggles with God. His 12 sons become the foundation of Israel's 12 tribes, each carrying forward the promise given to Abraham. Among Jacob's sons, Joseph is the dreamer, his father's favorite. His brothers envy him and sell him into slavery in Egypt. Despite betrayal and imprisonment, Joseph rises to power by interpreting Pharaoh's dreams. He predicts 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine, saving Egypt and eventually his own family from starvation. Joseph's journey from betrayal to leadership shows how destiny can form through hardship. When famine strikes, Joseph's brothers travel to Egypt seeking food. They don't recognize him at first, but Joseph does. He tests them, not for revenge, but to see if they've changed. When they finally confess their guilt, Joseph breaks down and forgives them. He tells them, "You meant evil against me, but God used it for good." The family reunites, and Jacob's descendants settle in Egypt, growing into the nation that will one day be called Israel. Genesis closes with the death of Jacob and Joseph. Before dying, Jacob blesses each of his 12 sons, prophecies that shape the tribes of Israel for generations. Joseph, before his own death, asks that his bones be taken back to the Promised Land. Even in Egypt, his heart remains tied to God's promise. And that's the story of Genesis, the book of beginnings. If you want to read these stories yourself, start where it all began. Creation in Genesis chapters 1 and 2. Then move to the fall in chapter 3 and Cain and Abel in chapter 4. You'll find Noah's flood in chapters 6 to 9 and the Tower of Babel in chapter 11. From chapter 12, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And from chapter 37 to 50, you'll meet Joseph. Next up, Exodus. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.